Most users consider Quickshot a way to do elaborate selfies with friends on vacation. But this tool is also handy in many different situations to reveal the landscape around an exciting landmark, quickly gather cinematic footage of an unknown location, or for real estate videography. Let's see how it works in the Mini 4 Pro, as there are a few differences compared to how it was implemented. On the photo video menu above the shutter, after choosing normal, we find the icon for Quickshot below master shots. In the vertical menu to the left, the different modes are listed: drone, rocket, circle, helix, boomerang, and asteroid. It is possible to choose between auto or manual exposure, which is excellent. I suggest using manual exposure, as during the different moves the light intensity may vary considerably, and this would lead to unwanted shift of luminosity when using auto exposure. For best results, I suggest avoiding the middle hours of a sunny day, as the difference in luminosity are severe and the shadows too harsh. Much better to use this feature after sunrise, before sunset, or with the sun covered by clouds to reduce the shift in luminosity and for softer shadows. We can then choose the resolution between 4K and 1080p. In the Mini 3 Pro there was also an option for 2.7K, but I've never used it. 4K has become the standard and I suggest using it all the time, although 1080p can still be used if file size is an issue. Regarding the frame rate, it is now possible to choose between 30 and 60 frames per second to apply some slow motion, while with the previous model only 30 frames per second was available. It would be better to also have the widely used 24 frames per second, but it's not a major issue. At the top of the window we can set the white balance. Manual mode is the way to go, as auto mode causes serious shifts of colors when luminosity changes. With the Mini 4 Pro it is possible to use Quickshots with the 3 different color profiles: normal, D-Log and HLG, while with the Mini 3 only the 8-bit normal can be used. This is an important new feature for advanced users, as it makes it easier to adapt the clips to the specific color scheme of a project. After having chosen one of the 6 Quickshot modes, a target must be selected by drawing a box around it. If people or vehicles are on the frame, a plus sign will be overlaid and we can select them as targets by simply tapping on this icon. Let's start with the first mode, drone. After selecting the target, a small window appears in the lower part of the screen, in the middle, to select the distance of the aircraft from the target during the shot. The values go from 30 meters to 120. Let's start with a short one of 40 meters. After hitting the green shutter, the aircraft will move away from the subject while ascending. It is a perfect move for the ending of a movie. It is better to choose a low value when filming people and a much higher one to show the surroundings of a landmark. 40 is not enough to fully appreciate the surroundings. This is the result when choosing a distance of 100 meters, which give a much better idea of the location. It is also possible to reverse the move while editing, to punch into a subject from a wider view. During the different quick shots, the stick of the remote controller are not available. If we touch them, the quick shot will be aborted. Another way to stop the aircraft during a quick shot is to hit the left button of the remote controller. This is useful in case of danger. After completion of each move, the aircraft returns to the initial position, which is useful if we want to try a different shot, or play around with several values for the same quick shot. With rocket, the drones will ascend and advance while keeping the camera on the target. The move ends up on top of the target, with the camera pointing down, for a bird's eye view. It is practically the crane move, a classic in videography. I use this move very often, and it is used to show a landmark or for real estate videography. But it's not a simple move to perform manually. Using rocket, the move is always perfectly smooth. In the settings we can select the altitude from 30 meters to 80. It is often interesting to invert this move while editing, starting on top of the target and moving backward and downward to reveal the background. It generally works well unless when cars or people walking are in the surrounding, as they will move backwards. The recording stops at the top of the move. It would be handy if we kept going during the second part when the aircraft comes back to its initial position. This way, while editing, we could choose to use the regular move or the reverse one. A circle is a very simplified version of the intelligent flight mode point of interest. The aircraft rotates around the target at a constant distance and height. We can only set the direction using the yellow arrow. I don't find this mode of any interest, as with the intelligent flight mode point of interest we can do the same thing with plenty of other options, like using the two sticks of the remote controller to get closer or further away from the target. Helix is another excellent way to reveal the surroundings. The drone orbits around the target while rising in altitude. We can set the direction of flight and the maximum radius from 10 to 120 meters, a slightly wider choice than the one available with the Mini 3. If we use the higher values and start from a relatively high elevation, we might get an error message on screen, as we could reach the maximum altitude. With Boomerang there is no control over the movement, only the direction of flight can be selected. The drone flies away from the target while rising in altitude and then comes back on the other side of the target at the same altitude as it was at the beginning of the movement. It draws a half ellipse around the target. This is not at all easy to perform manually, and is an excellent move for real estate to showcase a property. Both Boomerang and Helix are quite slow, and it would be beneficial to have some control over the speed of the move. It is possible to speed things up in post-production, but moving subjects like cars, people walking or waves will look unnatural. Asteroid is available only at the resolution of 1080p. It is good fun to show to friends who have never seen a tiny planet before, or to post on social media, but it is not useful in videography. It is suggested to start at a low altitude to avoid hitting the maximum value, in which case the quickshot is aborted. All the quickshot modes work exactly in the same way in vertical format. This is great news for users who have a social media strategy on platforms like Instagram, TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Most of the quickshots have some capability of tracking a moving target, as long as the movement is not too fast. Helix and Boomerang can be quite interesting to follow someone walking. Click on this link to watch my video about all the different settings of the Mini 4 Pro for video. And don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.